I once heard a story about a man who approached a rabbi with an unusual request. He wanted to know if he could use milk instead of wine for the Passover Seder. Intrigued, the rabbi asked if health issues or preferences were at play. And in a gentle voice, the man shared that the expenses of wine were beyond his means, but that he wished to celebrate Passover respectfully. The rabbi's heart went out to the man, and he gave him 50 rubles, far more than the wine would have cost. And the man was surprised and thanked the rabbi profusely. Years later, the same man, now financially stable, sought out the rabbi again. He wanted to understand why the rabbi had given him such a generous amount of money. And the rabbi explained that he had noticed that the man's shirt sleeves didn't quite reach the wrist. It was pretty clear that the shirt was secondhand. And the rabbi remembered that the man's family had recently grown in size with the addition of another child. In that moment, as the rabbi listened to the man's question, he recognized that he had more pressing concerns than the price of wine or the celebration of Passover. There is always more than meets the eye. There's always more to see when we look closely and we listen carefully. When we really pay attention, we are able to unravel layers, grasp what is said, and maybe what is even left unsaid. When we pay attention, we build bridges between one another, and connect to the spark of divinity that is in each person's soul. But that kind of attentiveness, deep, attuned listening, can be really hard to come by. It requires us to suspend our own natural self-focus, to press pause on our internal commentary and the to-do list that's running constantly in the background, and instead to give our presence, to give our attention to receiving what someone else may be offering. This summer, my friend Rabbi Dara Frimmer introduced me to Marianne Wolf's groundbreaking book, Reader, Come Home. A leading cognitive neuroscientist at UCLA, Wolf makes a compelling case for the revitalization of deep reading in our increasingly digitized world. She describes deep reading as understanding text beyond superficial level layers. It's an immersive experience that engages analytical, reflective, and even imaginative faculties. As Wolf puts it, deep reading is always about connection. Connecting what we know to what we read. Connecting what we read to what we feel. Connecting what we feel to what we think. And how we think to how we live out our lives in a connected world. This nuanced approach to reading has far-reaching implications because it fosters not just insightful thinking, but also promotes empathy and critical analysis, advocating for what she calls a biliterate brain, Wolf explores how being adept in both digital and traditional print can shape our cognitive abilities and emotional responses. And she contends that the all too often digital mediums on which we read and on which we scroll, they're not passive conduits, because algorithms and clickbait are designed to keep you scrolling. And they shape the way that we think, and they shape the way that we feel. My recent encounter with the executive director of a local nonprofit says it all. A virtual meeting or Zoom or even a phone call were absolutely feasible options to transmit the information that she wanted to share. But she deliberately asked for an in-person breakfast meeting. And I confess that while I drove to the restaurant to meet her, I was frustrated. This meeting was disrupting my schedule. I could get so much email done. Why should I spend my time driving across town and parking when I had so much to do? Why had she insisted on meeting in person in 2023? You know what's coming, right? The meeting was the highlight of my day. It exceeded my expectations. We connected and had a chance to enjoy a delicious breakfast together. Our conversation was like reading a great book, but with real-time expressions and reactions to guide the story. And I walked away with a newfound grasp of her viewpoint, one I would have never gotten over email or over a call or even over Zoom. And by the time I sank into my car to drive back to Temple, I was buzzing with raw excitement about the things that we could accomplish together. It became crystal clear. Sometimes you have to immerse yourself in an experience, whether it's reading a book or an in-person breakfast or being in community, to tap into something that is truly meaningful. Similarly, in Jewish tradition, the Pardes method of understanding a text guides learners into a far deeper, layered, and more immersive understanding of the text. In this structured approach, readers attend to 4 distinct interpretive layers: Peshat, the literal layer; Remez, the allegorical; Drash, the interpretive; and Sod, the mystical. This method encourages us not only to engage deeply with the text, but also link it to broader intellectual and spiritual contexts. The aim is to go beyond the mere surface interpretations, giving us an enriching experience that enhances personal insights. I recall an instance during Torah study at Temple when I watched a group of learners sit around tables in our boardroom and online too. They were engrossed in the text, their faces animated with curiosity. 2 participants leaned in towards each other, their hands waving, gesturing with enthusiasm. A participant online responded with a poignant remark, and the energy was palpable. It was the power of a deep reading that made the group connect with each other and with our Jewish tradition. And on another occasion, I witnessed a moment of profound empathy during a parent learning session led by Rabbi Nichols. A parent shared that their own parent was dying and the ways in which it was affecting her and her family, connecting it with our Jewish tradition. And we listened carefully to her words. And one by one, other parents offered words of comfort and support, a deep presence. And I was in awe of how people intuited what the struggling parent needed, much like the rabbi who gave his congregant much more than what he needed. These are the kinds of moments that affirm the transformative potential of our community. We are vibrant and dynamic because we are shaped by the moments in which we truly see and hear one another and are seen and heard by others in return. Each of us has the ability to mindfully listen to each other, to show up for each other, to practice caring, and to give the gifts of our presence. Earlier in our service, we sang the Shema, a sacred melody that often stirs something profound within us. As Alan Kronovit, or Rabbi Kronovit, liked to share with us, veiled in the Shema's depths lies a lesser-known gem of Jewish wisdom, Shmiat HaOzen. Shmiat is derived from the very root of the word Shema, to listen, and Ozen means an ear. Shmiat HaOzen is the embodiment of a listening ear, a phrase that captures the essence of attentive listening. Shmiat HaOzen emphasizes the importance of fully engaging with both spoken and written words, capturing the spirit of deep reading and meaningful and interpersonal interactions. And the concept encourages us to go beyond mere surface understanding and urges us to connect emotionally, intellectually, and even spiritually with what and whom is in front of us. Shmiat HaOzen isn't about passive absorption. It's an active, involved form of listening. Whether applied to the study of ancient texts or to the modern-day conversations that we have, it elevates the quality of our engagement, transforming mundane interactions into opportunities for genuine connection and insight. Shmiat HaOzen implores us to listen with the depth of the rabbi in the parable, to perceive beyond mere words, to seek the unspoken whispers, and ponder what dreams or fears lie beneath their words. Could there be more than what I see or what I hear? Shema. In this age, genuine listening emerges as a cherished gift and offering. Shmiat HaOzen, attentive listening, like deep reading, provides an opportunity to learn and to grow. Shema, listening tells someone, your voice carries weight, and you are truly seen by me. As Alan Kronovit shared, as a congregation, we are preparing for our future. We've been calling it our temple, our future, and we begin by Shema, by listening. It's about visioning our future and starting with listening. The goal is to unite us through active listening and mutual learning, and to create a vision for our community that emerges from our conversations. And we're starting this journey with the core principle of our faith, with Shema, with listen. To help us plan for the future, we're organizing conversations that facilitate learning and listening to people in our community. You are the investors of our community. You own this place. Your experiences, your perspectives, and your aspirations need to be woven into the very fabric of our community vision, ensuring that our synagogue is not just a provider of services, but a tapestry of lived experiences and shared visions. We are not looking to be an institution that merely does for, but rather an institution that builds with. We'll transition into smaller communities and groups on Yom Kippur. And it's an important opportunity for us because it emphasizes subtle and critical difference, one that recognizes the value of mutual responsibility and shared ownership of our collective journey. Because this is a chance for every voice to be heard, and we need you to participate. So I want to invite you to join the conversations on Yom Kippur afternoon, right after the 2 p.m. service, right here in the Blumenthal Sanctuary. We'll gather together, we'll get into small groups, guided by trained facilitators and temple leaders, and your input and influence and direction will help our strategic planning committee. And then throughout the fall, we're hosting additional discussions both within our temple and in the broader community. And online options are also going to be available for those who can't attend in person. For more details and registration, you can scan the QR codes that are in the lobby after services or look for it in your weekly email. We value your participation in this important endeavor and aim to include everyone in shaping our future. And then later in the year, we're going to share the insights that have been gathered. And by the spring, we'll present our findings, pinpointing shared passions and patterns. Together, we'll map out our congregation's path forward. In a local cafe, I found myself in a conversation with a person who had asked to meet with me. She began to share her aspirations, the dreams that she had once held close, but that she had felt had slipped away in the wake of a life-altering event. And although the Jewish community had always held immense importance for her, she admitted to feeling disconnected, as if life's relentless demands had pushed her away from her dreams. And these dreams weren't just abstract wishes, they were specific hopes of teaching her children the joy of Shabbat, to living with the value of intention, of sharing the beauty of Jewish music and the experience of living in a Jewish community with others. She valued what she was missing. And in that quiet moment, as we sat together, I became the witness to her deeply personal journey, one marked by self-discovery and a desire to choose a new direction. Sometimes the greatest gifts that one can offer is the gift of deep listening, of our presence, of truly seeing the reality in the lives of those who sit across from us. But this art of attentiveness isn't reserved for rabbis or cantors. It's a skill that all of us can hold, an endeavor and value that binds us to one another, to our partners, to our children, our friends, and our community. As we stand on the cusp of a new year, may the legacy of profound listening nurture our relationships and guide us steadfastly through the ever-shifting currents and the ever-shifting distractions of our world. Just as the Shema beckons us to unlock the inner sanctuary of our hearts, Shmiat HaOzen urges us to transcend mere surface interactions and attune ourselves to the symphony of spoken and unspoken emotions. Deep listening, just like deep reading, helps us to elevate our empathy and to recognize the possibility of an abundance that is around us right now and the richness of a future a future that we will build together. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.